Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, or I go by AlwaysMoreSims here on YouTube, and today we are doing another speed build. This is my first speed build of 2026. I kind of side rant right off the bat. When it changed to 2025 last year, I had absolutely no issues remembering to write 2025 for anything. Like, I just immediately was like, yep, okay, 2025, it's 2025 now, and I had no problem writing it. The amount of times that I have written 2025 this year, you know, with it being 2026, and I know it's like, it's a common struggle. A lot of people, like, it's kind of a hard habit to break. You get used to writing one thing, then you have to change it. But, like, last year, I didn't have that problem. I don't know why, but, like, I was with it last year. This year, nope. I keep done goofing. But yeah, anyways, first speed build of 2026, and I don't know how I feel about it. So, I guess I can just kind of start with the backstory of the house first. So, this house is built for, my oldest child. Okay. You good? I got a new ice maker for Christmas, and it just, like, it finished making its ice, like, shut off and, like, shuddered. I don't know. It was a little dramatic, but it had me a little worried. Anyways, this house is built for my oldest son in my FEG challenge, and FEG stands for every generation there's a genre, if you didn't know. And every generation of this challenge is based off a different book character, or book series. I mean, the main characters of a book. And the current generation is the romance generation, and I actually picked Jace from the Mortal Instruments to be my heir. And so, like, all of his kids, except for the heir for the next generation, are named after characters from the Mortal Instruments, because as questionable as that series is, especially looking back on it now, when I was reading it at the time, I didn't bat much of an eye, which is concerning. But it was one of my favorite book series. It's one of my first book series that I really remember getting into that wasn't, I don't know, like a kids series, I guess. Like, I read a lot of Magic Tree House and A to Z Mysteries, and what else? I read some Junie B. Jones, and I don't really remember a whole lot of this series I was reading in, like, middle school. I read a lot of stuff by E.D. Baker, and she's the author who wrote The Princess Diaries, you know, the movies with Julie Andrews and Anne Hathaway. Those are based off a book series, and E.D. Baker is the one who wrote those, but I remember she wrote a series called The Wide Awake Princess. So I read that. I'm really struggling to remember what I read, because I know I read a lot. Like, I am telling you, I am one of those, I was one of those kids that, like, books were kind of my escape. And so I was reading, like, all the time. I would wake up early in the mornings, get ready in, like, 10 minutes, because I could care less about how my hair looks, like, putting on makeup, like, I didn't care. My grade school, actually growing up, had a dress code. So, like, it was one of, like, the same 5 outfits. It was, anyways. So, like, I would wake up early so that I would be able to lay in bed and read, while I was waiting to leave for school. And then, a few years I rode the bus, and I would get on the bus and I'd read my book. A few years, my mom's actually a teacher, and she taught at the school I went to. So there were years that I would go to school early with her, because my mom she's only gotten earlier because she's still a teacher. She goes to school like ridiculously early in the mornings to like prep for the day, but I would go with her, and she had a couch in her classroom, and I would sit on the couch and I would read before school. Like, all I wanted to do was read. So I know I was reading, but I don't really remember much of what I was reading until I hit like 6th grade, I think it was, and I read the Divergent series. And I had kind of scorned the Divergent series originally, because one of my like grade school best friends, she had actually been telling me about it, and she was so excited and she was so hyped for this book, but she kept using the name Tobias, and I was like, that's such a stupid name. Why would anyone read a book about a character? Like, and I kind of made fun of it, which made her kind of bitter, and she read the books before they got popular, and so then I ended up jumping on the bandwagon as they started getting popular, and then I wanted to talk about it, and she was all bitter. She's like, I'm not talking about it with you because you made fun of the characters and you wouldn't talk with me about, like, as a whole thing. But I remember the Divergent series, and I went straight from the Divergent series into the Mortal Instruments, and then after the Mortal Instruments I read Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. But I only remember really liking the first book. I was not a fan of the rest of the series. But anyways, I don't know, way off topic here. I've always loved reading. But since the age of TikTok, I kind of find my way to zone out there now, which I do regret. I deeply dislike the fact that I don't read nearly as much as I used to. Like, it was actually to the point that whenever we go out of town, we have to go to a Barnes & Noble, because there's not, I think the closest Barnes & Noble to where I live is like an hour and a half away. So it's like one of my favorite places to be. I love a good bookstore. There was at one point in time, and this was like, books have gotten ridiculously expensive too, which doesn't help. But there was a point in time, I want to say I was maybe like 7th or 8th grade, and I'd gone to Barnes & Noble, and they had, you know, like one of those, like, it's like a basket, you know, that you see at a lot of stores, like, just with like the foldable handles and stuff, the plastic basket. I filled an entire basket full of books. And it was like $200 worth of books, okay? But my mom is a reader, a very avid reader, and she supports the habit. And she's like, you know what? It's okay. We're good. It's okay. I'd rather have you reading than sneaking out doing drugs or something. So I brought home this whole basket of books. And I had finished them, by the time that, like, because it was like, I don't know, like beginning of summer, I had them finished by summer's end. Like, I used to just plow through books, and I don't do that anymore, and I hate it. I hate it so much. I actually, last year I bought a book journal, to keep track of the different books I've read, the different genres, and like my favorite characters and all this stuff. And it had, like, one of the first pages inside of it is like 100 book challenge. And I was like, I'm going to really do this. I would love to read 100 books. And I was recently, just the other day, I was filling out actually the end of year. It has a half, like, mid-year summary where it, you know, asks, like, what's your favorite book have you read so far, your favorite author, favorite character, stuff like that. And then it has one at the end of the year, and there's like brackets, so like favorite books, favorite characters, and then you're supposed to like narrow it down. And I was finishing up the end of the year stuff, and I only read 23 books last year. And, like, to me, I'm like, what was I doing? Like, what? But that's actually better than I think I've done in a couple of years, which, again, makes me really sad because I love to read. We're kind of in that day and age of just that instant gratification of, scrolling on TikTok. And I will admit, like, my attention span has suffered because of, like, those short form videos. Like, I used to look out, like, intentionally seek out things on, like, YouTube to watch that were, like, really, like, long form content. And now I'm looking for shorter things to watch. Like, it just, I don't know. It has, like, I'm not going to say it's all TikTok's fault. But I do think TikTok has kind of had more of a negative impact on me than a positive one. For a while, I walked away from it, and then I don't know what brought me back to it, but I got back on it, and spiraled from there, and, like, this conversation has gone way off topic. Anyways, I guess coming back to what I was originally saying, the whole point of telling you all of that was that The Mortal Instruments is one of the first series I can remember just, like, be, like, eating it up, just absolutely obsessed. I have all of the books up until Heavenly Fire in paperback, and I have the original covers. I remember being so upset when they redid the covers to have, like, the white and black spines that, like, were supposed to line up, and I was like, oh, they do look really nice when they're put together, but I don't like these covers, and it was more because I just didn't like that it was changed. But then I have Heavenly Fire in hardcover, and for the longest time, if you asked me what my favorite book was, I would have told you Heavenly Fire, even though it was probably one of the books that I had the least idea what was going on. I was pretty confused with Heavenly Fire, cause I was reading the books as they, no, that's not true. I think Heavenly Fire was the only one that wasn't out when I started the series. But I feel like the last 3 books kind of went off the rails a little bit. They got a little out there, and so, like, Fallen Angels was really good, and then Lost Souls, I was like, have some interesting choices here. And then there was Heavenly Fire, and I don't remember a whole lot about Heavenly Fire. I can tell you, City of Ashes was easily my least favorite book, and I mean, maybe that is a good thing, because that's the one that has the most, you know, believing that the main characters are siblings, but still wanting them to end up together, so, like, City of Glass has that quite a bit too. I don't know, I just remember despising City of Ashes. I couldn't wait for that book to be done. And then I got to City of Glass, and I was so relieved when I liked City of Glass so much more. Anyways, back to the point. So all of my characters, or all my Sims up until our heir, and then Jace's wife, are named after Mortal Instruments characters. So I... in this challenge, usually our spouses are not actually a part of the book series at all. They're normally just Sims that I make and I put into the world, and I see which one has the best connection with my Sim, and we just kind of go from there. And I kind of forgot that, and so I made a Sim. I spent so much time on this Sim to make her look like Clary, and then I forgot that, again, my heirs don't actually marry a character from the book. And so I have this Sim that looks just like Clary, and for a long time, there's still times I like mess up. But her name is Dakota. I renamed her. Her name is now Dakota, and I still forget, and I will call her Clary, and I'm like, no, that's not right, because now they have a kid named Clary. So, yeah, we have Alec, Isabel, Clary, and Max. Because I'm like, okay, I can't have Alec and Isabel and not have Max. If you're familiar with the series, you know who Max is. R.I.P. Max. But yeah, so Alec, in the video that went up on Monday, I actually made this house right after I finished doing all the makeover-y stuff for Monday's video. I didn't think I'd have time for it, but I did. Anyways, on Monday's video, Alec aged up into a young adult. And so I went and aged up his partner, Magnus Bane, who as a teenager unfortunately looked like James Charles, which was not intentional in the slightest. And if I hadn't spent so much time on him before realizing that he looked like James Charles, I would have gone in and immediately changed it, but I had already wasted so much time in Create a Sim that I'm like, you know what, we're gonna just leave it alone. Thankfully, he does not look as much like James Charles now. He does look a bit different, so that's a relief. But this is supposed to be Alec and Magnus's house. They're only gonna have one kid. I'm gonna have them adopt a kid. But the whole intention here, because I would have wanted them to live in like a penthouse type lot, especially because that's what Magnus lives in the series. He lives in a penthouse, I think, or is it a townhouse? I think it's a penthouse. Anyways, because it's in New York City is where the books partially take place. But I can't do that in Sunlit Tides. So I made this little house. I don't like how it looks from the outside. I'm not sure how I feel about the inside, but it kind of is supposed to resemble a bit of an apartment on the inside. And I don't know how well I did that. I like that it's different from what I normally do. And then I did decorate the second bedroom. It does not look like a kid's room at all, which is my bad, but I was kind of over it by that point. I was like, I kind of want to be done by now. So I finished, and now we are here, and now we're in the pictures. So the house is linked down in the description below. If you'd like to check it out, please feel free to do so. Just please don't take credit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. Gaming channel link down below. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me ramble, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!